Hey everybody, welcome back. It's Dale Powers, and I have the privilege of being joined today by Karl, the Director of Education for the Steering Committee and the Color Guard Division for WGI. We thought we'd take a minute today and give you some information about the review process that happens at WGI Color Guard Regionals, which are going to start this weekend. If you're one of the A guards, independent A, scholastic A, that finishes in the top three, you're going to receive a letter automatically from the WGI office stating that your unit is under review. This is in the policy that states all the top three color guards automatically get reviewed. The policy also states that the steering committee can review anybody who attends a regional. This year, WGI decided to allow everybody to pick whatever classification they wanted to this year. So we want to make sure that everybody understands that regardless of if you finish fourth, fifth, sixth, or if you're a regional A guard or an open guard, you can be reviewed this year. The other thing I want to make people aware of is that you can be reviewed multiple times a year. If you go to 3 regionals, it's very possible you could be reviewed 3 times. The process when you get a letter is going to be that you'll upload a video of your color guard, and it says a recent performance. It could be a video from that regional that one of your parents took. It could be from the previous weekend where you had a circuit show, but you'll upload that video to WGI, and that's what the steering committee will review. One of the other things I want to make you aware of is that if you don't upload a video by Thursday at noon, the steering committee has determined that you will automatically be reclassified to the next class. So if you're an A guard and you don't upload a video, you're automatically going to be reclassified to open. And it's important to remember that even if you don't have any additional WGI shows, we will go through with the review process and we will notify the circuits of reclassifications, just like the circuits notify us. If you get reclassified locally, the circuits notify us. I wanted to take a minute here and have Karl talk to you about what the steering committee looks at when they review these videos before they make the determination. So, hey, Karl, how are you?
Hey, I'm well, Dale. Thank you.
Good,
Thanks for having
good.
me today. This is awesome. I mean, the first thing starts with skills. Let's start there. In the manual, it describes the top of the, and let's take the Scholastic A class, for example. In the top of the A class, that there should be some open class performers. So there is room for, flexibility as far as some open class skills kind of permeating down into the A class. But understand that's supposed to be or intended to be the top of the class. So as we go into like the bell curve of the class, which is down to the lower 2/3 of finals into semifinals, those are indicators that it's time to look and see if the group perhaps should be reclassified or is misclassified in A class and should be reclassified to open. And we've seen in the last couple of years, not only has there been open class skills kind of move their way into the A class, but we've seen several world class skills move into there. And, sometimes with individuals, there's room for a little bit of accommodation, if you will. But once you start seeing groups of 2 and 3 and 4 and then like full lines of performers, and then especially as you look to 2D flag moments, some of those big skills that happen underneath the toss to kind of create the button of the phrase. You look into those skills and you see more than open class skills into world class skills, and that's a huge red flag for us, for the steering committee. We look at skills, we also look at show viability. One thing you have to know, I'm going to go back to skills just for a second, is that those become unfair advantages. A judge is still going to ultimately credit that skill, even if it's performed poorly, and so you're getting at least half the number of that. I mean, there is, through profiling, there's a fixed amount of spread that you could have between the what and the how. But ultimately, it becomes an unfair advantage for certain groups to be able to hold those skill sets in what is supposed to be up to an intermediate kind of class. So when you see those advanced skills, we look at that as an unfair advantage and a competitive liability, ultimately to us as the activity. Our work is our word and our consistency is our integrity. And so we work to make sure that the A-class champion looks like an A-class color guard. And oftentimes, Dale, you even brought up this situation that we'll reclassify groups that weren't necessarily the winners, but we're second and third place. We've done that in the past too. So we're looking at skills first. We look at show viability, and we kind of project ourselves into the progression of a normal year. First of all, if you're putting a skill out there as an instructor, I'm assuming you're telling me that that skill is going to be achieved, so we don't dismiss it. Then the next most common argument is that, oh, that's my rifle line. If you look back to the flag line, you'll see that they don't have the same skill set. Well, that's true, but ultimately that's the same in all classes of competition. Skill sets are not usually evenly placed all the way through, and you're still generating the reward through the people demonstrating the skill. You can't ignore that in the same way that you're asking me, to acknowledge the fact that there is a deficiency in another percentage of your group. So with those distinctions in place, that's how we do it. We look into see if the group is viable in the next class, and it doesn't mean holistically, and we're not guaranteeing that anybody makes finals in the next class, but we look at the open class indicators for that Scholastic A theoretical unit that we're talking about. And then we look, are they demonstrating enough of the open class to merit us setting up a flare? And then the next thing I've asked them to do, and this comes way back during my predecessor's time, during Shirley Whitcomb's time, is that our division specifically also projects them into, with a natural progression through the season, a certain amount of marked success. And marked success is coming out of prelims and making into the semifinals round, where there is a marked success of progression beyond prelims. And so we look heavily at those semifinalist groups in the next class, and we do this for world-class groups, and we do this for open class groups, so that as we think of reclassifying up, and we look at that target of what was the first neighborhood inside semifinals. And this is not finals, these are non-finalist semifinals, which is usually around 5 or 6 groups, that neighborhood of that middle, which ultimately represents the bell curve of that particular class, considering the entire population and their skill set. And we target for them to be placed in that neighborhood. So we study those videos, and we use those videos as references for comparison to the groups that we're reviewing. And those become those thresholds for us, looking at the viability relative to those groups and we're looking at 2019, because remember 2020 was an interrupted year, but looking at the viability compared to those groups that enjoyed marked success in the 2019 season. And hopefully anyone that we reclassify is close to, if not enjoying, marked success at least. And our percentages have been very high. When we've only missed by 1, maybe 2.
And one of the things that we do, Karl, is if somebody gets reclassified, we will, if they would like, have a steering committee member go through that video. Absolutely. Give them a few pages of notes of things they can do. And in many ways, that's to prevent them from thinking, I've got to make all my 5 6s and all my 6 7s. They're right. Actually there because they're demonstrating skills in that class. And then the steering committee members will help guide them into tying phrases together, so phrase length is longer, yep. Focusing on things that will help them in the next class. And I think that's a valuable tool that we offer them. Anybody that's used it in the past, it's not somebody who's going to give them pages of notes every weekend they go out, but it's just to help them create a roadmap going forward. But again, they need to be aware that they could be reclassified in week 6. And if that happens, then they need to be prepared for that. And many people will say, this is my last regional. And if you go into championships, then at championships, you'll be in the next class. And if you're not going anywhere beyond that regional, you'll be reclassified probably in your local circuit as well. But from our point of view, we think that you're at that place where you can show some marked success, like you said, going on at championships, and then we're going to actually try and give you a little bit of guidance to help you get to that next level. I think that's a pretty valuable tool.
It is, and they do such a good job of it. And I'm going to highlight what you said. You're not hiring a consultant. This is part of our customer service and a way that we service units that are dealing with unexpected success. It is ultimately always up to the instructor to know what's best for their unit and to take the advice of the steering committee instructor and the advisor, but ultimately those choices are all theirs.
Well, Karl, thank you for clarifying that today. For anybody watching this video with any questions about the process, feel free to reach out to me, or if you'd like to reach out to Karl with questions that you may have about what they're doing and how it may translate. And it's not too late if people want us to look at a video and let them know what we think they are. We've done that for many people as well. A lot of people will become proactive. So if you're not competing until later in the year and you want to get ahead of it and say, maybe I'd rather know now, people have given us a video to look at. And the only thing I will caution you on that is we need it to be a video of a completed show. Don't send us 2 minutes that you did at your evaluation show in December and then say, well, you told me, I was an A-guard. So just, be conscious of that and let us know if we can help you along the way. But we're hoping this prepares you a little bit just in case you're one of those people that shows success and then our video is requested for review.
That's a solid strategy, Dale. That's great.
Okay. Well, thanks everybody for joining us. We'll look forward to talking to you again soon.